We weren't expecting a college commitment from him until after his upcoming junior season, but Brandon says, hey, he's seen enough and he knows where he wants to go, and he's going to announce his decision right here on HQ in just a few minutes. Let's get more on Faizon Brandon from our 247 Sports guys, Andrew Ivins and Tom Loy. Andrew, I'll start with you here. We're not used to seeing such an early commit, but the heart wants what it wants. What makes Brandon such a talented prospect?
Well, out of all the quarterbacks and really all the prospects in the class of 2026, those are the guys that just played their sophomore seasons and are going to start their junior year of high school here in the coming weeks. We think he has the best chance to emerge potentially as a franchise player. He's 6'3.5", just under 200 pounds. He's got, prototypical size, but dual threat athleticism. In his first year as a starter, he went 13-1. More importantly, from a statistical profile, he was the best quarterback amongst his peers. We've seen Faizon multiple times this offseason, including at the Future 50 down in Florida a few months ago. And, the other quote-unquote top quarterbacks were there. And I thought Faizon Brandon was the most consistent of the bunch, and he showed that he has the highest ceiling of the bunch. So as a new age quarterback, a guy that can beat you with his arm and his legs, we really like the trajectory he's on.
I couldn't be more fired up about this kid. And this has been such a battle. I think you absolutely nailed this, Andrew Ivins, with your #1 overall player in the 2026 class. We usually see eye to eye at the quarterback position, and he is next level. This is an elite talent, and there's a reason why you got schools like Alabama, LSU, NC State, and Tennessee vying for his commitment this early. They are doing everything possible to get this one done. It's been a great battle down the stretch. I had an early 247 Sports crystal ball pick on the Volunteers. There was a moment a couple days later that I wanted to change my pick to Alabama because I heard the Crimson Tide made a huge push to try to get him. Then the dust settled. I kind of kept my pick on the Volunteers, and here we are, just the day of the commitment, and I still feel good about Tennessee.
Yeah, he's visited Florida State, Georgia, and Penn State, but all of those schools have since gotten their QB commits for 2026. So, Tom, you mentioned the crystal ball projections there. Have him going to the Vols. Looking at the quarterback landscape in Knoxville, how good of a fit is Brandon's skill set for what Josh Heupel wants to do there?
I think it's a tremendous fit. I think he's a perfect fit for exactly what they want to do. Andrew knows this better than anybody. This is a kid that's very athletic, can run, can throw, can make every throw possible. He really showed his versatility at the Future 50. He ran all over the place, and that's normally a setting where you're just kind of sitting in the pocket and throwing it around. But I love the frame. I love the build. And I think he's exactly what you want to come into that room, complete with 2025 top 247 quarterback commit George McIntyre, who's headed to Tennessee. You got Jake Merklinger. You got Nico Iamaleava. So the quarterback room is really, really loaded, or should be loaded by the time Faizon Brandon gets to Tennessee, if that's where he ends up.
And just to follow along with what Tom's saying here, when Josh Heupel, he had Hendon Hooker. Well, Hendon Hooker's from the same part of North Carolina that Faizon Brandon is. And Faizon Brandon's actually worked out with Hendon Hooker's quarterback coach. And there's a lot of similarities. Now, I think if you're a Tennessee fan and they were to get Faizon Brandon, picture what Hendon Hooker was able to do with his arm and his legs and just realize Faizon Brandon's got a little bit more. The other thing that stands out about those two is they both were also really good high school basketball players. And why does that matter? We look towards the NFL draft, all these guys getting selected early, J.J. McCarthy, all these other guys at Drake May. They were all multi-sport athletes. Faizon Brandon, one of the best in the class. He's got a fast release. He completed 68.9% of his passes here as a sophomore at Grimsley High School. So he can run the RPOs. He can spread it out. And I think for Tennessee, which has done an excellent job of recruiting offensive talent, this is a guy that can make the offense go.
You guys certainly see this a lot, and that we're seeing, I don't know if it's just a shift in the quarterback position, but just to more athletic quarterbacks. Not crazy athletic, because we do get those, but certainly guys that can be dual threats when it comes to the position. Now, Tennessee have never received a commit from a 247 Sports top-ranked prospect. So, Andrew, what would his commitment mean for Tennessee as a program?
Well, it would give them, what I would call two can't-miss quarterbacks in a 3-year stretch. Nico Iamaleava is set to start for the Volunteers this season. The people in the scouting community know about Nico Iamaleava. I think the casual college football fan hasn't been introduced. Now, they will here in 2 months, and they're going to realize this guy's excited. He's electric. He can extend plays and create in the pocket. And I think, if Faizon Brandon were to pick Tennessee, the Volunteers are going to have one of the top quarterback rooms in the country, and what really stands out about it is the fact that it's organically grown. All these guys have come from the high school ranks. They haven't came from the transfer portal, and usually when you go after a transfer portal quarterback, you're fighting the rest of the country for them. They come in with a more of a price tag in the NIL situation. So to me, I think the future of Tennessee football with Josh Heupel, that offense, you would have to get excited about their potential in the SEC. And the other thing is, we look at these recruiting classes in a whole. Tennessee is doing an excellent job of building depth on the defensive side of the ball. And I think if Faizon Brandon were to pick UT, he gives the Vols a bit of a bell cow, right? Everyone in the country knows who he is, and a lot of the top-ranked recruits want to play with him.
That's exactly right, Andrew. This is one of the most well-known prospects across the college football, high school football landscape. 2025, 2026, it doesn't matter. Everybody knows who this guy is. And to be completely honest, there's a ton of guys across the country that want to play for him. So if he does pick Tennessee, there's a lot of guys that are that's going to be like the tipping point for them. I want to go to Tennessee. I want to play with Faizon Brandon. That's exactly what you're getting when you land this kid. So whether he does pick LSU or NC State or Alabama, there's guys that want to play with this guy because they know how special of a talent he is. Obviously, Andrew nailed it, naming him #1 overall. But these guys want to play with him because they see it in person, how special this guy is. This would be a massive win for Tennessee.
Andrew Ivins and Tom Loy from 247 Sports getting us all set for Faizon Brandon's commitment live on HQ in just a few minutes' time. You heard Andrew mention some of the measurements. 6'3", 197 pounds. He's going to choose between Alabama, LSU, NC State, and Tennessee. Mentioned he also visited Florida State and Georgia and Penn State, but they have their commits. He was back at Tennessee with his family last weekend, and they are considered the favorite to land.
All right, the waiting is almost done. Five-star quarterback Faizon Brandon will tell us where he is headed to play college football next on HQ.
So when I first met Faizon going into his freshman year, he just turned 14 years old. And the first time I meet Faizon, I'm looking up to him. I see him throw the football, I see him move around a little bit in my first workout. I told Daryl after that, I said, Daryl, I think he's going to be pretty good. When I said pretty good, I didn't know he was going to be the #1 player in the country at that time. But what Coach Brown said is, over the last couple of years, Faizon has really shown why he is the #1 player in the country. That's because of his work ethic and his coachability. We hold all-season workouts in the winter after basketball season, and most of the days, Faizon beats me to the door. He's sitting there waiting on me to get there in the morning. He never misses a workout. He's there with his teammates every morning in the weight room. He's the first one there, the last one to leave. And then you pair that with the kind of skill set and athleticism that he has, and mental makeup, it really is something special. And then for him to be able to do this, basically early commitment going into his junior season, I know that's a relief for him, and it's very special to get that out of the way, like Coach Brown said, so that he can focus on winning and being with his teammates. But one thing that people ask, like what makes Faizon? And I would say this, he's never flustered. You wouldn't know if we're up by 40 or down by 40, even though we're never down by 40. But his freshman year, we're playing Reagan, I think it was like week 2 or 3. Faizon was the starter, he was backing up. He comes in the game, we were struggling a little bit on offense. I think it was the first series, maybe the first play or second play of the series. Faizon basically throws a pick 6. The guy intercepted, takes it all the way down to the 1 yard line, they score. Coach Brown said, we're not taking him out. I said, I agree, let's put him back in there. So he takes the field for the next series. The first play of the next series, he pulls on one of our plays, he goes 81 yards for a touchdown. I said, 14-year-olds don't do that here. They just don't. They don't have the mindset, they don't have the knew that he had something in him special. Just watch his progress over the last couple of years is exciting, and then I think he's just scratching the surface. I think Faizon can be the best. And so, over the next 2 years, I think we'll see that, and it's exciting to see where he's going to be after high school. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Coach Brown.
All right, we go to Faizon. That's what we came for, so we go.
Yeah. All right, thank you. I would like, first I would like to start with saying I would like to thank all of you, each and every one of you, for taking your time out today to come attend my commitment ceremony. I would like to thank God for gifting me the opportunity to display my gifts and talents in order to be offered by so many great schools to play football at the college level. I'd like to thank my parents, Rolanda and Leonard Brandon, for making sure I always kept a strong work ethic, not only on the field, but in the classroom as well. I am forever grateful to them for all they have invested into me over the years, and I wouldn't be where I am today without my parents. I'd like to thank my sister, Faith Brandon, as she has made countless sacrifices to support me instead of getting to do other fun things that girls her age like to do, and I'm forever thankful to call her my little sister. I also would like to thank all of my family and friends and coaches, especially my youth coaches, Derek Hicks, Jason Hester, David Mathis, Toby Williams, Daryl Brown, Jesse Tripp, and my current Grimsley football coaching staff. I look forward to our upcoming season together. There are so many others that I would like to thank, including my trainer, Priest Everhart, for teaching me all the correct skills and techniques throughout the years, and for being so knowledgeable and always providing advice. Lastly, I would like to thank all the colleges who took time to show interest in me to make me an offer to play football at your program. I am grateful and I truly appreciate your time and consideration. Now, from the moment y'all have been waiting for, after taking the time and carefully evaluating each of my top 4 schools, I feel the best place for me to commit to play during my college career would be.
Who you win?
You ready?
Who you win?
The University of Tennessee. I gotta stand up. Wait.
So there it is, your first look at Faizon Brandon, the number 8 quarterback in the class of 2026 in that Knoxville orange. He is taking his talents to Tennessee. Of course, he's currently the only 5-star quarterback in the class of 2026. And the last one out of the state of North Carolina is currently the quarterback of the New England Patriots. Of course, we're talking about Drake May. Our team at 247 Sports telling us Brandon has no intention of reclassifying. He's going to stick with Tennessee. But even if he were to move, he'd still be ranked in the top 10 rather, of the 2025 class. So for more on Brandon Faizon's commitment to the University of Tennessee, we're bringing in our team at 247 Sports and the reporter for the school, Ryan Callahan. All right, Ryan. Anytime you've got Alabama on the radar, that's kind of a metric for just how good you are. But there were a couple of SEC teams here in the mix. Why Tennessee for Faizon?
Yeah, I think it started with just the way Tennessee recruited him and how early they were involved with Faizon Brandon. They identified him as a priority very early on during his freshman year and then offered him going into his sophomore season, his first SEC offer at the time. Got him on campus repeatedly. He's been to Knoxville 8 times now since last June. So just has continued to feel more and more comfortable there. So has his family. And I think they see a good fit for them in Tennessee's offense. You know, Josh Heupel's system is very quarterback friendly, fast paced. They put up a lot of points and they've got a proof of concept now. They put Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton in the NFL the past couple of years. So think Tennessee had a lot to sell to Faizon Brandon, but a lot of it was just, I think, how well Tennessee recruited him and just sort of the vision they sold him from the very beginning.
I want to talk about the talent that is in this Tennessee quarterback room currently. When you see the rankings and the names going with it, of course, we've seen what Nico Iamaleava has been able to do briefly. We'll see a little bit more there. But Faizon Brandon coming in as well. How is Josh Heupel, to your point, about bringing in quarterback talent? How is he able to time and time again bring in guys like Faizon and commit to the Volunteers?
Yeah, that's been the impressive part of this. Tennessee's recruiting quarterbacks at a higher level than it has in a long, long time. And that's to see what they've done over the past 3 years now, starting with Nico Iamaleava and to go down through Jake Merklinger, George McIntyre, and now Faizon Brandon, and getting an early commitment from a guy like Faizon Brandon at that. It's pretty remarkable. And a lot of it's obviously just Tennessee's program selling itself, but this is also a testament to what Josh Heupel and his staff have accomplished. Again, they're not selling a hope and a dream anymore. They've got something tangible to sell. They can sell NFL draft success. They've got 20 wins over the past 2 seasons to point to, some big offensive numbers. And I think it's easy for guys like George McIntyre and Faizon Brandon to envision themselves having success in Tennessee's system.
Yeah, when we talk about the quarterbacks that have been so successful under Josh Heupel, Heisman favorite this year, Dylan Gabriel, Drew Lock, who is with the Giants, Landry Jones, and of course, Hendon Hooker, who I kind of want to continue the conversation about here because our Andrew Ivins of 247 Sports as well mentioned Hendon Hooker being a pretty good comp for Faizon Brandon. When you think about his skill set and what he brings to the table as a quarterback, where do you see his skills being best used in Tennessee?
Yeah, I think Andrew is right. Faizon Brandon does remind you a little bit of Hendon Hooker, and as Andrew told me for a story we posted on GoVols 247, maybe Hendon Hooker, but with a higher ceiling, and that's no knock on Hendon Hooker. I think that's just an indication of sort of trajectory Faizon Brandon is on, and how high his ceiling could be. He's just an exciting player, but he's just a well-rounded guy. I don't know if there's any one skill set that sort of or part of his skill set that jumps out above the rest. He's not Joe Milton with the massive arm or anything else that stands out above anything else. It's just that he's just good at really everything as a quarterback. He's a good runner, good thrower, has all the arm strength to make all the throws, had effortless accuracy when I saw him at a camp earlier this summer. So he's just impressive across the board. And you see him, and Tennessee's been selling him on this too. He's just sort of a natural fit, an ideal fit in a lot of ways for Tennessee's offense, because he's got that dual threat ability while also being, kind of a pocket passer first. That's kind of what you would draw up for Tennessee's system, I think, under Josh Heupel. So I think he's a great fit for a lot of reasons, and it's not hard to envision him having a big career at Tennessee if he continues on the trajectory he's on right now.
Not afraid to throw into tight windows, able to be worked into an RPO situation. Those are the scouting report notes that we are getting about him. And I know we still have to wait, right? Because he's in the class of 2026. So it'll be a moment before we actually get to see him out there on the field. But give us your way too early expectations for Faizon Brandon as a Volunteer.
Yeah, anytime you're talking about a guy ranked #1 overall in his class, the expectations are going to be high. There's no way around that, even if he doesn't end up #1 in his class for some reason over the next couple of years. But just the fact that he's in this discussion right now shows you that our analysts and a lot of other people, and obviously Tennessee's coaches, who made him a priority all along over some other guys that some people had ranked higher earlier in the process, they've clearly coveted him, so that the expectations are going to be unreasonably high. But I think he's a pretty safe bet in a lot of ways for a guy, even though we're still projecting this far out, just because he was so good as a sophomore. I mean, 36 touchdowns, 3 interceptions as a first-time starter as a sophomore. It doesn't take much projecting to see that he's already pretty far along in his development. He's also just a little over 16 years old, turned 16 a couple months ago. So that's the exciting part, is he could still get a lot better because he's so young. So I'm going to be surprised if he's not a really good quarterback at the college level. I'm not going to predict a Heisman Trophy or national championship or anything like that, but I'll be pretty surprised if he's not a really good SEC quarterback at the next level.
And listen, we won't be surprised if he's in that Heisman conversation at some point. Ryan Callahan joining us to discuss the breaking news. Faizon Brandon is headed to Tennessee. So here we go. 247 Sports obviously helped bring you this live coverage today. And right now you can get 60% off an annual membership with their website. Of course, they're bringing you the latest when it comes to recruiting in the high school ranks as well as in the college ranks. So be sure to lock into that 60% off membership. You only have it available until Monday, August 5th.